Sobriety Essays number 16, Finding a Meeting. Once in a while, I'll hear somebody or a sponsoree say they couldn't find a meeting, and I love sharing the following story. When I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, among many suggestions was to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. I thought that meant to go to one meeting a day for 90 days, so I did that. Well, just because I was staying sober didn't mean that my marriage was getting any better. In fact, it was still so bad that after 90 meetings, I continued to go to meetings every day on a daily basis. I'd like to say that I'd rather be in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous than at home with her. So the first year, I went to a meeting every day. The only involvement my wife had with AA, who is not alcoholic, was she liked to go to speaker meetings. So we did this one thing together each Saturday night. She learned the language and fell in love with the Serenity Prayer. Somewhere about 9 months, things in my life started to change from the inside out. My attitude and outlook upon life became different. I began to let go of old ideas. At 11 months, that marriage just changed. It started to work. It started to work beyond my wildest dreams. She became my wife, my friend, my lover, someone to walk beside. She was no longer my higher power or my mother. That year we celebrated our 21st wedding anniversary. A few days past my first birthday, we got a chance to go to England. Now I knew that I could find meetings while I was there, but I had not been away from my support group since I got sober. So there was an element of fear. One of my biggest definitions of fear is future emergency already realized. So I packed my big book, my 12 and 12, Living Sober, and a book by Chuck C. called A New Pair of Glasses. I was going to be prepared. I fell asleep on the airplane, and as I was waking up, I heard my wife talking to the man seated next to her about Alcoholics Anonymous. He was in the program, and my wife was, and his wife was in Al-Anon. An AA meeting found me. I got to meetings in London, and then for the trip back to the U.S., we were to travel on board a cruise ship, the Queen Elizabeth II. This meant 5 days aboard a ship with no meeting. So after 2 days at sea, I kept watching the ship's daily newspaper looking for an announcement, Friends of Bill W. meeting. By the third day, I needed a meeting. I began to become irritated and discontent. So I went to the purser's office and asked them to put in the ship's newspaper, Friends of Bill W. called Chuck, and my room number. The next morning in the newspaper was an announcement for a Friends of Bill W. meeting at noontime in one of the ship's lounges. What it turned out to be was one of the ship's bars that didn't open till later that evening. I showed up at noon with my wife, and 2 ladies from Wisconsin showed up as well. One with 18 years and the other one with 11 years. They invited my wife to sit with us at our meeting. We had a meeting every day the rest of the trip. I found a meeting in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Always tell newcomers that I will not accept the excuse that you can't find a meeting. If you can find a phone, you can find a meeting. Even if the meeting is over the telephone with a fellow alcoholic. When I'm on a camping trip, I would put up a sign on the local bulletin board at the entrance of the campground, Friends of Bill W, and the campsite number. Fun way to meet fellow members. If I'm at a rest stop, I look for Easy Does It stickers on bumpers. We're all over the place. By the way, the QE2 story, the Queen Elizabeth II story, was over 13 years ago. The wife and I just celebrated 33 years of marriage. We like to say that we're just a couple of God's kids enjoying life. The program just keeps working. Chuck H.